Good morning, Democrats. First, let me acknowledge the wonderful members who you'll see in a little while. The members of the Assembly who have given me the great privilege of being the Speaker of the Assembly. We do got such great work on behalf of all of the people here in the state of New York. But I want to begin my comments, and I always joked about this with Andrew Cuomo, that I want to talk a little bit about my favorite Governor Cuomo, which was Mario Cuomo. And yes, give him a round of applause. It was about 28 years ago when I graduated from Stony Brook University. Mario Cuomo was the keynote speaker. That's right, Suffolk County. And one of the political lessons that Mario Cuomo imparted when he gave his comments was talking about the poisoned well. And he says that far too often in society, we deal with what happens when people drink from the poisoned well instead of worrying about curing the poisoned well. And I took that as a political lesson that we should have a proactive government instead of a reactive government. And I know he imparted that in his son, Andrew Cuomo, as well. And then 25 years later, after hearing those remarks from Mario Cuomo, being the Speaker of the Assembly, I could say, in the trenches, I know Andrew Cuomo probably better than anyone else. And he has been a champion for our democratic and our progressive values. Sitting by his side in the leaders' meetings, seeing firsthand the hard work of trying to get in a democratic state the progressive values, working with the Republican Senate that sometimes had no willingness whatsoever to really come around to the things that are really important to the state of New York. So it was great to sit there and partner with him when we talked about raising the age of criminal responsibility, paid family leave, $15 an hour minimum wage, pre-K funding for the entire state, knowing that the earlier we educate our children, the more successful they will be. The concept of community schools. These are not easy tasks, and were not easy tasks dealing with the Republican Senate. And I watched the governor stand there and sit there in those meetings and fight for those progressive values. And when I was in graduate school, I took a class, it was a class on executive budgeting when I was getting my MBA. And it talked about the games that the executive and the legislature played during budget time. And it talked about how a lot of times the executive would take things out of the budget knowing that the legislature would put those things back in. But I'm happy to say that with Governor Andrew Cuomo, we didn't have to play those reindeer games, particularly when it came to the Assembly priorities of opportunity programs. And more significantly, a program that meant so much to me as being Speaker. When President Obama charged us to be My Brother's Keeper, we became the first state in the nation to fund the My Brother's Keeper program. And when I say we didn't have to play those reindeer games of the executive budget games, the governor himself made sure to fund the opportunity programs and to fund My Brother's Keeper. So I want to thank Governor Cuomo for doing those things. So now, on behalf of myself, and I'm a person, I like football, and I've used this analogy. When you have a quarterback that's a winning quarterback on a winning team, there's no reason to change. So on behalf of myself and the Democratic members of the Assembly, we just want to tell Governor Andrew Cuomo, we're with you 100%. We look forward to supporting you, our wonderful Lieutenant Governor, our wonderful Controller, and our soon next-to-be Attorney General, Tish James. Thank you all for what you do for the state of New York.